friends, we continue the observation of World Anatomy Day. Remember that today is October 15th. Therefore, globally, we are observing this day as the World Anatomy Day. Annually, it will be celebrated. Now, as part of the celebration, I want to run briefly with you some bit of history regarding anatomy. How anatomy actually gone through several evolutions to actually become what we see now, right from the beginning of civilization of humans till this contemporary time. Therefore, I'm going to divide the history into two parts: the part which comes before the birth of Christ, BC, and the part which comes after the birth of Christ, AD, Anno Domini. Now, remember that in the beginning of civilization of humans, ancient humans, got to know that after actually injuring a vital organ of an animal with a weapon, being a stone, being an arrow, what happens that in no time the animal died. Now, this knowledge or this concept was harnessed by the ancient people to actually harm themselves through warfare, through intertribal or interethnic warfares, among others. Instead of harnessing that knowledge, that concept of vital organs, which is very relevant in anatomy, in the science of healing, they rather use it in the art of killing. Now, around 2700 to 2600 BC, the oldest medical book was actually produced or was actually written. This oldest medical book also happens to be the oldest book in anatomy, and it was actually written in China, and the book was named with the title Neijing. So that is one thing that anatomy has started long ago. Now, in 1700 to 1600 BC, in Egypt, the Egyptians learned that there is actually life after death, and therefore they needed to actually mummify their pharaohs. So they actually used chemicals to actually smear on their bodies of the bodies of their pharaohs, and of course also removed those organs, for instance the internal organs, which were likely to get decay. They removed all those ones, treated them, and then put them in jars with some solutions to preserve them. Now, around 1000 or 1000 BC, their knowledge in preservation actually increased, and therefore they could actually bring these internal organs out and actually got them dried and then put them back in there in order to preserve these bodies. Now, this is also a concept of anatomy, because anatomy is also relevant in ensuring that specimens are preserved or organs are preserved. Now, what happened is that around that time, the mummification was very expensive, and therefore only the pharaohs as well as other officials who had the means of actually taking care of the costs went through the mummification. So that is one thing that we saw also contributed. So Egyptians also went through that. Now, around 1000 BC in India, Sushruta, who happened to be described by Indians as the father of surgery of Indians, also actually came into the picture, actually performed what we call purposeful surgery. And as part of his surgeries, he happened to do the first surgery on obstructive intestine. So that's what he did. Now, around the era of the Roman, around 460 to 377 BC, came what we call Hippocrates. Hippocrates is regarded as the father of medicine, and that is why after going through medical school and graduating, you have to take the Hippocratic oath before commencing your work as a medical doctor. This Hippocrates is also regarded as one of the founding members of anatomy. Hippocrates was relevant in describing dissection. He was also relevant in describing the use of the scalpel blade. In fact, Hippocrates performed he performed dissection on dead bodies, individuals from war who died out of war, performed surgery on them. Now, Hippocrates was actually a Greek philosopher. Now, another Greek philosopher known as Aristotle also came into the picture around 384 to 322 BC. Around that time he was around, and he was relevant in ensuring that he performed some dissection. He actually described the brain, also of course the spinal cord, and one thing that he said was that the brain is the center of intelligence and emotions. Surprisingly, I think that's an error, but surprisingly, for a very long time, even in our contemporary time, we still associate the heart to emotions. For instance, during Valentine's Day or during anything that has to do with love, we associate it with the heart. Now, for Aristotle was also relevant in describing what we call embryology. He also described the various arteries, some of them different arteries and different veins in the human body. Now, around 325 to 300 BC, also came Herophilus. Herophilus was also actually a Greek physician, and he is actually, yes, for Aristotle actually is coined the term anatomy. Now, Herophilus actually is regarded by many as the father of ancient anatomy. Now, what he did was that apart from dissecting cadavers, he was also relevant in dissecting living prisoners or living criminals. He did that, and he actually described the nervous system, central nervous system, actually the brain and the spinal cord. And what he said was that the brain is the center of intelligence. So he disproved what Aristotle said, to be the heart. He described the brain to be the center of intelligence. So that actually ends the era of the BC era. So the era before Christ. Then there came Christ. So in the AD era, there was Galen. Galen also came in, and for Galen around 130 to 200 BC, he was relevant in actually using animals, especially monkeys. So he dissected them and then compared it to correlated those structures to that we find in humans. But he did some erroneous works, because he was always using that he found in animals to describe that we find in humans. For instance, he said that for instance, I compared that of how the muscles in animals, for instance dogs, were attached to be the same as that we find in humans. That was actually an error. This Galen is actually regarded as the prince of surgery. And apart from doing this, although he didn't know about the pulmonary talk, he didn't think of pulmonary circulation, he thought that, or he asserted that there were some pores within the heart which blood flowed through. Now, apart from this, he also spelled out the importance of actually the brain and of course the spinal cord. Now, around the 13th and 14th century, the Pope Boniface actually banned the use of humans for dissection. Now, around 1452 to 1519 was actually this Italian, philosopher who actually was a painter. So he drew and painted the human body parts. His name was Leonardo da Vinci. So Leonardo da Vinci also paid his dues by way of drawing very good anatomical specimen. So in most books, you tend to see Leonardo da Vinci's picture in there. Now, around 1514 to 1564, there was this anatomist as well, and he is regarded as the modern day father of anatomy. And his name is Andres Vasselchi. Andres Vasselchi. And this Andres Vasselchi is actually relevant. He actually performed dissection on cadavers by taking permission from the church to perform those things, and he actually disproved most of the things that Galen proposed. And actually it wasn't easy to disprove them. People didn't easily bought into his concepts because the Galenic age spanned for about 1300 years, and for it to break through an old era of concepts like that wasn't easy. So he had some difficulty. So he actually explained all those concepts. So he was actually relevant in actually describing the various systems of the body, drawing them in that regard. And then also came William also came in there to perform his work. Then they also came around 1780s, around 1750s actually to 1832. There was hard press of cadavers, human cadavers for actually dissection were scarce. So that led to actually some criminology events actually happening. So humans were actually killed to perform, to be used in dissection, to study various body parts. And two individuals who were notorious in doing that were actually Beck and Hay, William Beck and William Hay. And they had, this kind of hotel where all people who came there were killed, and they were taken to one anatomist, and his name was Robert Knox. So from that era, in fact, there was the need for legalization so that people could actually donate their bodies to various anatomists so that dissections could be made with that. And that is why currently, if you want to donate your body, there is that opportunity everywhere in most medical schools, so that you donate your body for the teaching and learning of anatomy. Now, apart from these eras, in fact, there have been several developments which have gone through. Some dynamics have taken place as far as molecular aspect is concerned, as far as genetics is even concerned. What happened was that Darwin came in to describe the human that we evolved actually from monkeys, thinking of Watson and Crick describing the double helix of the DNA, then thinking of Gregor Mendel with his work. So several people have actually contributed And of course, we can't mention all of them. So for now, this is the brief history that I've have for you to help you enjoy your day as regards anatomy. Of course, I believe that in future our names will be mentioned. Daniel Okwan and the likes will be mentioned as contributing immensely to the study or to the teaching and learning of anatomy in Ghana. They have so many great scientists, great anatomists in Ghana who have done this. And around this time, I want to encourage the teachers of anatomy to actually help students, teach them systematically, teach them with concepts, with principles to get the understanding of all those subjects that are taught. Again, I want to tell all students who do anatomy to have the can-do spirit. Learn hard, make sure you learn the right way, and know that hard work, determination, and then the common sense as regards studying this particular course will be relevant for you to pass your exams with excellence. So enjoy your day, and we will meet the next time to talk about more stuff as regards anatomy. Thank you very much, and may God bless you.